Me talking my shit, man. Now listen, we're back. We're back. And I always start like this. I don't know. There's something about a ritual. There's something about a beginning. There's something about getting yourself into that zone. Do you know what I'm saying? When you start things the same way each time, then you prime your brain to be ready for whatever action that you're about to take, right? For example, I was looking into diffusers today, and I was thinking, what is actually the benefit of a diffuser, right? Sure, I think it slightly makes the moist. It slightly increases the moisture. No, I don't think it does because we have a what do you call it? A diffuser. We have a humidifier, which kind of lightens up the air, increases the moisture, and then we have a air purifier, which actually like filters the air, gets rid of all the dust and the pollen and the particles and stuff like that. So I was thinking, what the fuck is the point of the humidifier? Like I've been had a humidifier, but I don't really use it. I'm thinking, what's the point? And my research was telling me that the smells they kind of indicate to the brain they're most useful for if you, let's say you put on a certain smell when you go into bed, so you're priming the brain to be able to think that okay, it's bedtime now because I'm smelling the smell, so it's a cue. Or I'm going to start studying now, and you put in a certain scent that you put in when you start studying, when you normally study, and so now your brain associates that's a cue, right? And certain smells have different effects on the actual brain itself, just due to the nature of the smell. So there's a power in smell, but it's very slight. So I was thinking, what? I'm thinking I'm out because I didn't even know where I go on in the first place. But you know what? This is a tangent because I didn't even mean to start like this. I didn't even want to talk about this. Listen, just yeah, listen, tangent. I just wanted to record a vid today to update you guys on the keto journey, right? I want to update you guys on the keto journey because Ramadan ended yesterday and Eid was yesterday and I feasted. Do you know what I'm saying? I feasted on some fats and some. I didn't touch the carbs too tough because I'm still on keto for at least one more week, and then we switch to being metabolically flexible on a restricted carb diet with intermittent fasting at the same time, right? And I'm kind of looking forward to going back because you know what it is. This keto diet is calm, is consistent, is stable. But me, my history, I'm used to the spikes, the crashes, the this and that, the this and that. So it's boring to me. It's boring to me. I'm just craving some sort of excitement. Like it's terrible. But I would say that being stable, consistent, calm is a much better state to be in, and that I just need more time, and I need to shift my identity in a way such that I identify with the calm, the control, and just the normal flow state of being, rather than chasing the next high, the next spike, the next so and so. That's what life is, right? It's just a chase. It's an infinite chase. But that's if you play the game of life wrong, right? If you're always chasing something, I mean, I guess it depends on the type of the chase and the thing that is at the top, the thing that you were aiming for. That is what dictates the the glory of the chase, the the worth of the chase. Okay, I'm waffling. Um, let's get back to what I was saying about keto. So essentially, what it is that yesterday marked the end of Ramadan, right? And so I've been drinking and sipping water throughout the day. And wow, gym sessions are so much easier. I actually, you know what? I can't actually say that. You know what? I take that back. I take that back because I ate so much on Friday. Maybe going into the gym today, I was on a surplus. Because normally I'm in a slight deficit, but I was in a surplus from yesterday. Maybe still have some carbs that I had left over from the meal yesterday that I was eating. Because maybe I overstepped my limit just slightly, just slightly. But to be fair, by the time I would have woken up, I would have been back into deep ketosis because I definitely didn't overstep, right? And I made sure to go for a 20-minute walk within like 20 minutes after I ate my meals. Because when you do that, the glucose that is coming from the food will go into the muscles because the muscles are using it. The muscles are being worked. So they open up such that glucose can go into the muscles more so than just the liver. If you're just to be sitting down, it will just go directly to your liver glycogen because there's no need for the muscles. The muscle receptors, I'm not sure the correct term, but they're not open because you're not using them. Simple as that. So I had to go for a little 20-minute walk just to get the glucose all up in the muscles. And I came back, I was feeling all right, but then I had a terrible sleep. I couldn't sleep. Got back, my mind was just racing. My mind was racing. And I put my head on my pillow. I don't even know I can't recall what I was thinking about. But I was thinking about a whole lot because there's a whole lot that I want to say. But there's certain situations where saying something is counterproductive, even if it's true, right? And so you have to refrain. You have to assess the situation. You have to know when's the right time to reveal something, when's the right time to act in a certain way. For example, if someone is trying to, if in a social setting and we're kind of just conversing, lighthearted, laughter, this and that and the other, right? And somebody tries to engage with you technically, you don't want to get too technical because that's not the situation that we're in right now. And doing that in that sort of situation kind of, I feel like makes you look like you're trying to be you kind of make yourself distinct from the group, and you don't want to do that because then you become the other, right? And then it's long from there. It's long from there. If you know social dynamics, that's not where you want to be. You wanna identify with the group, but at the same time, when it's a tightrope, it's a balance. And so, in the sense that when people are on a level and you want to explain something to them, but you know that they won't really understand because they're not on that sort of wavelength. Then they don't know any of the details that you would be able to explain to them, but they're asking for the details. But they're not ready to handle that, and they're not going to take it seriously anyways. So what do? Well, you just carry on. You just make it lighthearted. You brush it off and you keep it stepping. Do you know what I'm saying? And then if it's really serious, if you really want to, you know what I'm saying, explain something to them and explain something to someone, and you want them to take it seriously, then you do that one to one. You have to set the tone before you enter the conversation, right? You have to set the frame. And this takes me to a thing to an idea that's an idea that I came across, which is PCP, perception, context, and permission. And obviously, I got this from Chase Hughes because I've seen a couple of his vids recently, and his work is fascinating. And I know that it fascinates him because he's so energized when he talks about it. And I aspire to be able to talk about a subject like that. I aspire to have a depth of knowledge in a certain subject that I can provide such value by having such a depth of knowledge that people come to me and I can actually help them. That's what I aspire to be, and that is inspiring. And to see someone with enthusiasm talk about the things that he's passionate about, it's amazing. It's amazing. But he was talking about human behavior and manipulation. And it's all about the perception, the context, and then the permission, right? So I was thinking about, okay, I don't want to go on a tangent there. I don't want to do that because okay, cool. Yes. Anyways, the frame, the perception, right? So if you want to change a person's behavior, you have to change their perception. It's the same thing with trauma, right? You look back and you think about how something might have happened. And let's say you weren't even traumatized, but then you come across information which tells you should be traumatized, why you should be traumatized. And now you reconceptualize that. And now you start experiencing symptoms of trauma. and this has been documented. This happens. You can give yourself trauma by the way you conceptualize your previous experiences, even if it wasn't traumatic at the time. Perception is the most powerful thing. So if you're able to change someone's perception through suggestion, then you have the ability to change their behavior. So when you change their perception, you change their perception given a context. So in a context that, if in a context, you will behave differently, right? So if I change your perception and I put you in a certain context and I give you the permission to act in the way that I want you to, then you're going to do exactly that. PCP, perception, context, permission. And the way you change someone's perception by suggestion is to kind of give a few statements to enable the subconscious mind to identify with either one of those statements that you put forward. For example, there are some types of people who understand what I'm saying, and there's some types of people who will look at this and say, what the fuck is he talking about? You just subconsciously identified with either one of those people. And I don't know, maybe you're one of those people that have watched one of these videos and you kind of understand what I'm saying, what I'm getting at. Or you're the other person, but subconsciously you've identified with one of those people, right? And that's the suggestion. That's the identity that I've just given you, right? And I can say that person that really understands what I'm saying is in the sort of situation where I give him the context, right? And he would really take this in. He would really listen to this and think about and reflect on what it is that he has heard and where he last heard this, and maybe revise what it was that he heard, because what I'm saying is kind of ringing a bell. You're now giving you the permission. No, I'm just playing. I'm just coming up with. I'm trying to come up with an example for you guys, but like, I'm kind of remembering this off the cuff right now, and I don't think that's actually how it goes. I'm sorry. Well then, listen. Another thing that I took away is FSR, which is how you kind of get a read on people, friends, relationships. No, sorry. How the person made friends, how the person got rewards, how the person achieved safety, FSR, friendship, rewards, safety. If you can triangulate these three and understand how the person did each one of these three, then you can understand the person. You can understand what drives them, what their motives are, what their behaviors are. And if I just reflect on my situation, FSR, how does that apply to me? Friends. How did I make friends? I made friends by kind of being very agreeable, very socially engaging, laughing a lot, right? Going along with what other people wanted. Not in a crazy sense, just in like, if someone's busting a joke, I'm laughing, I'm playing along. Maybe I didn't even get the joke, but I'm just laughing, playing along, making it a good time for everyone involved. That's how I made friends. And that manifests today. In all sorts of my relationships. I'm more agreeable. Sometimes I agree with things that I don't really agree with, just out of like just out of nature. Just how I used to make friends before. That behavior so shows up in social interactions, right? Safety. How was I safe? I used to be safe. I just withdrew. I withdrew from the situation. I isolate. I focus on myself. That's how I stay safe. Because if I'm isolated and I'm by myself, then nobody can hurt me. Nobody can make I was gonna say make false promises. I mean, I guess if you detach in a way, then nobody can make those false promises to you. You remove all sorts of like communication in that sense. You limit the communication. So by isolating and focusing on myself, I remain safe, right? Because I limit the potential interactions that could cause harm. And that again manifests that manifests in me today. It's just my natural behavior to be introspective, to be isolated, to be thinking, to be focusing, to be withdrawn. I have to make an active effort to overcome these behaviors in the right situations. For example, in a social situation, in a networking session, I have to make the effort. To sitting around my team, I have to make the effort to actually speak up and communicate and make everyone comfortable and set set the tone and set the direction of the conversations that I'm having around me. That takes effort because I'm overriding the behaviors that I've learned, right? And a behavior learned at childhood will affect you for the rest of your life, but you just need to be aware because that you can overcome it for sure. That's why this FSR is very powerful. So what's the third one? We have friendship, we had safety, and we had rewards. How did you get rewards? Now this one, I don't really. This was a bit confusing for me. Rewards? How did I get rewards? I guess the rewards came from the results, right? For me personally, like how did you get rewards as a child? I didn't really get rewarded. The reward came from within. The reward came from me moving towards my goals. The reward came from me seeing the results and seeing the things that I've planned for come into fruition. So again, that still translates to me today. I'm driven by moving towards the person that I want to become. I'm driven towards achieving these certifications and these things that I've planned for, right? And so FSR, I've applied it to myself. This PCP and FSR, they are most powerful when applied to yourself. You have to do the self work first before you even try and manipulate the people around you. You have to be able to manipulate yourself, right? Because you want to manipulate yourself to be the best version of yourself as possible. So these manipulation tactics are not meant to be used on other people, but can be, but are better used on yourself. So you have to make the right decision. And this is something that really struck me when I was listening to this, thinking about how easily humans can be manipulated. It's interesting. And anybody who has this sort of knowledge and is able to apply it effectively. There's one thing about having the knowledge and being able to apply it effectively. I could definitely not apply these things effectively. And it probably takes a lot of time, a lot of practice, a lot of effort, a lot of understanding and paying attention to the people around you and how they react when you say certain things, right? You can only really detect if someone's lying if you know their baseline. And you can only know their baseline if you're paying attention. You know what they normally do. You know how they normally react. You know how they normally behave. When you ask them a question, ooh, that was a bit different. You don't normally react like that. There's something there, right? You know, you can only do that by paying attention, mindfulness, right? There's a concept called mindlessness, which is where you're so intelligent that you think you already know what's going to happen. So you kind of make a prediction before you've actually seen the outcome, which leads you to make careless mistakes. That's mindlessness. You don't want to do that because that leads to arrogance. That leads to failures. That leads to things that you just could be avoided, right? So you want to be mindful. You want to be paying attention, and I think this should be the end of my tangent. Well, I got another thing to say though. I've been learning wrong. I've just realized I've been learning all wrong, right? And the thing is, I've come across so many learning videos. I know how to learn, but because the way that I learned in secondary school was literally Actually, was it through secondary school? There wasn't actually no. Secondary school we used to write in books, right? We used to actually follow along with the teacher and do exercise and this and that and the other. I don't know what it was, but in first year, I just used to consume content. And I think it worked because when I consumed content, it was just, I don't know. Actually, I don't know why it worked. I'm not sure. But I haven't been really been working through content as I should do. And you tell me, how do you lot study? Because ever since he, ever since I was young, I just used to copy exactly what the teacher said. And that habit's kind of stayed with me until I realized like, what the hell am I doing? This is not how you learn. I can't just copy exactly what's on the slide into the deck, into into a notes app and expect anything to go into my brain. And I've realized that I really, really realized that the real way of learning is messy. It's not easy. You have to work through it as you're consuming the content, make the connections, relations. You have to take notes. You have to actually take notes. And then you revise those notes. That's where the learning happens. You revise those notes. You switch things around. You make another link or remove a link because that link wasn't actually the right link. And those things don't actually link. It's a lot of links that wasn't meant to be links. Links. Do you know what I'm saying? And it also comes from writing things in your own words and summarizing and this, that, and the other. How does this relate to this and this relate to that? It's about because that takes effort. That's active, and I haven't been as active as I think I have been. Right? Did I walk you guys through the system? The system that I created today, right? The system that I created today is a four, it has four components, right? It has Obsidian. I should start with actually Anki. Anki is the flashcards. These are just things, this is just the system, the component which deals with things that I need to remember. Samsung Notes, which are just the things that and that just come across my mind from the day to day, the different ideas that I have that might circle my head and I might need to write down, journaling, self-development, random topics. And then I have Good Notes on my iPad, which I've only recently started, which I'm going to use to study for courses, certifications, university, things that I really need to work through to understand and get a grip of, right? And then Obsidian is going to be where I synthesize all of the workings and the relations and all of the rough work in my Good Notes into Obsidian. And this Obsidian is going to contain every single note I've ever taken. So I can see all of the potential links, the possibilities. It enhances the creativity and the different ideas and how you might not expect things to link that actually do link, right? And it's actually very interesting when you do this sort of analysis. For example, when I consume content on YouTube, I'll use Notebook LM and I'll copy over like let's say 3 or 4 videos and I have like a recap of like ask me questions based on the key themes so that I can recall it. But then in the second section, I ask, can you find any like relating themes or any contradictions? So it will compare and contrast the texts and it will actually come back with interesting things which you might not even realize linked together, which you might not even realize this theme is actually the same as this theme. And these themes are talking about big things throughout, like big themes throughout the world. And you realize that everything's kind of just falls under one sort of like similar sorts of things. Like you see the same patterns reoccur. And this kind of makes you really think in the day-to-day life more about how things might relate to other things and things you've seen here actually relates here. And I guess that is the whole that's the brain's dilemma. It's not the dilemma of the brain, but the brain is just there to predict. And there's a lot of repeating patterns, right? And listen, you can know the system by its patterns, right? If you're able to predict a system's patterns, you're able to predict its behavior. But you can never control the system because if you go in and tinker tanker, you're going to get unexpected behavior. And this is just an idea that I got from another book, which is like you shouldn't try and control, but you can use those patterns to predict and adjust and you can try and adjust things inside the system, but don't control. Just be open to the different behavior that might occur as a result of that change, and you can kind of guide the system rather than to control it and to work with it instead as it is. Right? You can work most effectively with it because you can predict it. And the same goes with everything around in life. If you notice these patterns, you can better understand, better navigate. But at the end of the day, the only person that you can control is yourself. And so you can just use these patterns to your advantage. I directly contradicted myself earlier. PCP, FSR, you can control others, you can manipulate others, right? But listen, cognitive dissonance. I don't mind holding two opposing ideas at the same time. It don't bother me. I'm not I'm not a normal person. I'm not normal. I'm not normal. I've just been chatting rubbish the whole time. But like, I just wanted to get in front of this camera today because it's been a while, and I just wanted to kind of just circulate a few things that have been circling. But I'm on very, very low sleep because obviously yesterday I couldn't really get to sleep. Tangent, wow, because my mind was racing. I remember I did mention that, right? My mind was racing. I had to get up multiple times. And by the time I finally got to sleep, managed to get like 5 hours maybe max. And now I'm gonna finally be able to catch up on sleep because I don't have to be up so early. So I'm grateful I made it this far, man. I'm grateful I made it this far. I'm grateful I'm feeling okay. I hope you guys are feeling okay too. And this was probably my most confounded is that the right word? My most ridiculous, no. My most I wanna say like when you have like a lot of people, you have different pieces of the puzzle. You have the whole puzzle. No, you have different pieces of the puzzle, but they're not fitting together. Is it disjointed a word? Disjointed. It's the most disjointed episode I have I have recorded. I'm just putting in different pieces of information and trying to like understand them in front of this camera in real time, and kind of not they kind of have some sort of relation, kind of have some sort of holding. They kind of relate to each other. It's like an unpolished sort of access to my thought process. And I feel like I should really do you guys a service and kind of think through these ideas in a lot more detail beforehand. I'm sorry to subject you to the chaos. And we just need to find that balance between order and chaos. And that's it. Oh, shit.